obviously great to have the students back. I mean, that's about as fun as it gets when you have an atmosphere. And you know, it's funny, you know, JT Toppin has been involved in it being Jersey night, and to get the students involved. And you know, obviously he goes 3 for 4 from 3, so maybe we had to do Jersey night every night for JT. But people think, man, he shot it, and it wasn't always intentional to run the first play for him to shoot it up there, honestly. But he's really been working on it, man. And his balls are getting softer, and the way he's shooting it. And I've really been impressed with his work ethic. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, he just has spent a lot of time in really working. And I asked about, have I coached a better duo than Christian and JT? And what I'll tell you is I'm more thrilled about the way they're starting to be the anchors of how we're defending people. I mean, JT with 5 blocks tonight, Christian with 2, and his integrity in guarding the ball, Christian's, and the way he's moving his feet right now is just tremendous. I mean, he really is doing his early help on a couple of baseline penetrations. I mean, he's seeing it. He's flowing to the ball the right way. So I know everybody's going to want to talk about what these guys are doing offensively. But to me, the way JT's hedging and the way he's moving and the way he's competing and the way those two guys are competing defensively, I think that's really the difference in our team, because they're starting to see that we need to do that every night. And they're competing, man. They really are. They're playing the right way. So it wasn't perfect by any stretch. I mean, man, can we play better? But give Utah credit. Their pace is difficult to defend. I told our team, and we talked to some coaches in the league going into the game, and they said they're faster than what you think. And obviously he's got an NBA background, and Coach Jensen has got those guys playing a lot with pace, and we had a hard time guarding them in stretches. But for a majority of the game, for us to offensive rebound like we did and have a solid night defensive rebounding and to limit their second attempts, I mean, they got to the free throw line more time than we did, but we shot, 12 more shots than they did, and that ends up being the difference in the game.
During that 18-1 run in the first half, you got guys throwing Hail Marys to Lawan, and the USA's erupting. I'm just curious what you saw during that run.
Well, it started with our defense. I think we had 20 points off of getting stops in the first half, and to me, that's just going to be the name of the game. Can we get stops? And, our guys like talking about getting kills, which is all the consecutive stops in a row, and, when our bench is yelling it, we're in a good rhythm, and it really started with the way we were defending.
We've heard you talk about JT's passing ability, especially out of those doubles, and he got a career-high 7 assists tonight. But for people who don't know, can you just talk about the work that he puts in with his passing?
Well, I mean, that's my favorite part of JT's Toppin's ownership to what our team's doing, okay? Jeff Lender's the savant, man. He's brilliant. I don't say that lightly, honestly. Just his spacing, his concepts, and the way that he simplifies it, but the way he puts us in the right positions. He told me to get before the game, he felt like this is one of the games where JT could get 35. I mean, he felt just the way that they put 2 on the ball and the way they help from the rim, and if we could get him on an angle, and then he's going to have reads that he could make. So JT missed a floater, and it's in the second half, and then right away he turns around and says, my bad, because we were open. And he's just an awesome teammate, man. I mean, that's what I'll say I love about JT is he's such a good passer, but even if he misses it, he'll be the first to acknowledge that he didn't do it right. JT left his feet on a closeout, and the first thing he does is, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you're like, well, it's hard. He's on a closeout. What do I do? He's just got no excuses. He just owns it, and he's not perfect, but that's why he's such a great passer, is because he's willing to be coached, and he's willing to keep trying to improve and make the right play. For a guy that scores it as well as he does, to be that willing to pass when he gets 2 on the ball, it just says a lot about his character.
What's the biggest change you've seen in the defense with you being so dominant, getting rebounds, especially with contributions tonight from Lawan and Tyree?
Yeah, well, I think my favorite rebound of the night was Jalen Petty's rebound at the end when he just jumped over him. I mean, Jalen Petty, I think at Colorado maybe had 8 or 9 rebounds. I mean, it just we're working on it every day, and our angles are improving, and our ability to hit first, and then ultimately how you rebound as a team. but JT's cleaning up a lot of them. And obviously Lawan's one of those guys who has a nose for the ball. He's got to get better at being physical first. But Don with 5 defensive rebounds, I mean, pretty good spread out group. And I thought Tyree had some moments tonight with his offensive rebounding where he made some improvements too. Just got to keep bringing him along and keep having a physical presence and putting his nose through it. And our team is leaning into the hard practices that you got to do every day to get better at it.
Speaking of those hard practices, you're going to have a hard couple days before you have faced BYU. How did this game prepare you for BYU?
Well, I mean, obviously we just watched their game that they played against BYU, Utah's game at Utah, and that's really the only game I've watched of BYU's. And BYU has no problem scoring. They've got, I think, probably one of the hardest playing guys in our league in Richie. I mean, 2 years ago when we faced BYU when Pope was the coach, and it was our first year here, and we came back from that big comeback. We were watching film, and Matty B, who's the head coach at Stephen F. Austin, by the way, who's having a fantastic season and playing great. I don't know if they're 14-3 or something like that, but he's doing an awesome job like we knew he would. But he told me, he's like, Coach, watch this because we're trying to prepare defensively. He's like, Richie is the best player on their team, and he may be an all-league, first-team all-league player. He's unbelievable. And I just literally showed our team the clips of him offensive rebounding against Utah. He's relentless. He doesn't have to have the ball passed to him. He can really shoot it, and he's tough. And I just have so much respect for their team. I obviously coached AJ in the summer, and Rob's obviously a great player, but I mean, they just got a great scheme and they play really hard, and they're a very difficult team to defend, and really a lot of respect for them. So it should be a great opportunity.
Coach, you said going into this game, the adjustments that you wanted to make was how do you continue to grow the team in a way that you distribute and create advantages, and the composure level once it gets out, when the ball gets out of Christian and JT's hands. What's kind of been your assessment for this game leading up to BYU as far as that goes?
Well, Jalen Petty was awesome at passing the basketball. I mean, he missed some shots, but his what we're asking him to do defensively and the ramp up, his heart's to get better. I think Lawan is just one of those guys that, I mean, I trust him, man. I just trust him. I just need him to get more experience with different schemes and playing with these guys. And, it's a fun group to coach. And Donovan Atwell's letting the game come to him. I mean, he's we just got the right mix of guys, and I think we're making strides.
Utah had a lot of success of getting open threes throughout the night. How do you kind of make that adjustment going up against a team like BYU that likes to shoot from beyond the arc as well?
Well, I think it's about who's shooting them, more than anything. And if you ask me, 21, Abby, it was a guy that we shouldn't have short closed out as much, but he hasn't been making a ton of threes. He goes 2 for 14. It was Sanders who I felt like those were horrible closeouts, and we had a couple of really bad ones. And then, I think you get with Dawes, and you got to pick your poison a little bit because he's a good driver and he puts his head down, but he had too many rhythm ones. I mean, you got to be able to do both. In this league, you got to be able to be and help and close out the correct direction with pace and get your feet out there and take away rhythm. And, I mean, he had two easy rhythm ones. Don McHenry, he had a couple that were obviously open, but their ball screen coverages are tough to play against, man. They play so fast and wheel people around. I told them, let's err on the side of guarding the ball so that we can keep it out of the paint and make those guys shoot contested threes. And it wasn't great, but obviously it's who's shooting it that concerns me more than anything.
Grant, going back to the defense, could you talk about the strides that you guys have made since the beginning of the year? And do you feel that you're playing the kind of defense that you want to going into this tough stretch?
Man, what a treat. This is a throwback right here. My buddy Oscar in the house. We've gone back to when I was 25 years old, 26 years old at the Schapp Center, and there was nobody at our games. It was just you and me talking after every game. So, Oscar, I appreciate this is an awesome opportunity. But, no, our defense has improved. I mean, if you look at, I don't know what it'll show after tonight, but there's a web page called Bartorvik, and it breaks up the season, and you can start it at different times. And if you start like the middle to the end of December, you take the last 6 games or 5 games, 6 games, we've got the number 10 defense in the country right now, and that's of all teams. And so I just think it's moving in the right direction, and it says like we're a top 6 team in the country. So to me, I just like the willingness and the heart and the connectedness that our guys are looking at me with. Earlier, they were just like, you want me to do what? I'm like, yes, that's what I want you to do. And now they're looking at me like, okay, coach, I got it. This is going to be really difficult, but I see what you're saying. And Petty, after every game, he comes to me, he's like, coach, I got to get better at defense. And I just love it. And Lawan's looking at me like, yeah. And I'm like, yes, this is it. This is what we're doing. And that's why I'm saying JT and Christian, because Don's been pretty consistent in his effort. But JT and Christian, the way they've anchored us and how they're playing has improved. And I would say we're moving in the right direction. And really, it's credit to our guys' intensity in practice and how we're practicing.
You talked about the hedging on the ball screens. Have you changed how you're guarding those, or is it just more amped up version of what you wanted earlier in the season?
Yeah, no, we're changing. And a lot of it has to do with we felt like some of these teams, and you know this, you give up more threes when you get in hedge and kind of in drop coverage, and when you're backed up, keeping JT in front of the ball and making them play 2-on-2 in the middle of the floor and don't give them opportunities to get advantages and shoot it. So we really were trying to minimize threes against a lot of the teams that we were playing early, and we were playing 2-on-2 in the middle of the floor, but we're too small, honestly. I mean, guard play feels too small, so I feel like our ability to hedge pushes some of the ball handlers out and keeps the paint from being attacked so easy with the drop coverage. And it's been good for us. I mean, the LSU game was where it kind of really started to take off. We were trapping a lot in that game. And so just the improvement of putting people more on their heels so that our guards can get their bodies in front instead of being on a side and being behind and getting we're just small for that. And feel like if you had bigger guards and you could lean on people and had more length at the rim, and we were trying to keep JT out of foul trouble and keep him where he didn't have to run around as much, but we're figuring out a way to do it and do it consistently. Now we got Mariel back. I think he's going to be able to play some. This game wasn't perfect for him because they shoot threes, but he's going to really help us, and then hopefully we get Luke back pretty soon too, and those two guys, we can start really getting after some people.
On JT's defense, I think this was his third game in the last 7 where he's had 5 blocks. What have you seen from his improvement in just the timing and being able to be the rim protector that you kind of expected Luke to be, but now JT can kind of do it too?
Yeah. Well, he couldn't block any shots early because it was the ball handler and he was second guessing what he's doing. So he's always kind of in between. He didn't want to give up a lob dunk, and people were just kind of shooting baskets at the rim. And what he's doing is he's pushing people out, and I think he's more active from being in the hedge, being out there. And then he's able on these drives to be more of an anchor when he's not out there hedging. Now he's taking on these drives, or he's out there vertical, ball gets reversed, and he's moving in as someone's driving in, and he's able to honestly block it more from behind than he is from trying to play it straight on. And he's committed to guarding the ball, and he's actually blocking shots on the ball when he stays down and people shot fake him and then try to shoot. He's done a better job of that. And, man, just really thrilled with the way he's competing, the way he's moving. I think that's why he's blocking shots.
Yeah, Coach, in that game against Colorado, y'all finished with 20 fouls at the end of the game. You cut it down by 8 to 12 in this one. What was kind of the message going to this game to make sure you didn't get in foul trouble and go a big run like you did in the last game?
Yeah, we fouled them in transition a couple times, and I thought our wall-ups was better. I thought Christian had a couple great ones, and they just missed layups in transition. We didn't do a great job rebounding out of it. But we kind of got fatigued at the end, and we started leaning on them again. And then when they got the angle, instead of turning and running and trying to get back in front, and that we're working on it. So I just thought we took another step in the right direction with some of those angles and cutting them off, and not just trying to hip check somebody when they create the advantage, but to try to get back in front and fight to show our hands. And, man, these officials in our league are really good. So if you do it right, they usually honor it. And if you don't, they should call a foul, and they've been doing it, and we haven't always done it right, and we're starting to have better technique on how to be physical without fouling. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. And then we're honoring Coach Dickey's team. I don't know if I said that, but the 1996 team will be back in the U.S., or they were never in the USA, but they'll be back in the house on Saturday for the BYU game. And I think we're going to have a majority of that team that went 30-2 and undefeated in Southwest Conference play and the tournament. and then obviously beat North Carolina to advance to the Sweet 16. So we're really excited to have them back. Believe it or not, it's been 30 years. So pretty awesome. Excited to have them